The morning after the rain, River stood in his doorway staring at two unexpected visitors. One was a dignified older woman dressed in a fine kente scarf, her eyes warm but sharp. Beside her was a tall man in a dark blazer holding a folder against his chest. "Good morning," the man said. "Are you Mr. Armour?" River nodded, unsure. The woman smiled slightly. "My name is Madame Adjoa Mensima," she said. "You're the man who rescued people from the flooded underpass last night, yes?" River hesitated, embarrassed by the attention. "Yes, Ma. I just did what anyone should." Her expression softened. "My granddaughter was among them, the baby wrapped in the yellow cloth. You saved her life." River blinked. "The baby? The one who slept through the chaos?" He smiled faintly. "I'm grateful she's well." Madame Adjoa studied him quietly. "You remind me of my late husband," she said. "He too believed that kindness doesn't ask for witnesses." The man beside her cleared his throat. "We have a problem at our company," he said. "Madame owns Mensima Foods. There's a distribution yard in Tema that's bleeding money. Corruption, missing stock, false records. We need someone honest to see what's going on." River frowned. "I'm just a driver." "That's exactly why we came," Madame Adjoa replied. "Honest eyes see what trained ones ignore. Go there quietly. Watch for 1 week. Tell me the truth." 2 hours later, River was sitting in their SUV heading to Tema. He didn't understand why fate kept dragging him into other people's storms, but he decided to follow where it led. When they arrived, the yard was sprawling and loud. Forklifts moved restlessly, men shouted, and trucks idled by the gate. The signboard above was missing half its letters, reading only, "Men Mafo DS." It looked tired. So did the people. A supervisor named Kofi welcomed him with a wide, practiced grin. "Management sent my new auditor?" he joked. "I'm only here to observe," River said simply. Kofi clapped his shoulder. "Good. You'll find nothing but sweat and dust here." "Dust talks," River replied. The man laughed too loudly, and River quietly made a note of it. He began walking the yard slowly, watching more than speaking. Within a few hours, he noticed small irregularities. A camera near Gate 3 covered with tape, a handheld scanner that always failed around the same time, and 2 forklifts that always seemed to break down in the same corner every Thursday night. During lunch, he sat with the cleaners. They didn't treat him like a boss, which was fine by him. A woman named Armour said quietly, "When the camera sleeps, someone is stealing dreams." He didn't ask her to explain. He already understood. Day by day, River kept notes. He timed the scanner failures with his wristwatch. Every 20 minutes, regular as a lie, rehearsed too often. He marked the missing pallets, always 2, always cooking oil, always leaving by Gate 3. He found fake damage reports, identical handwriting, signed off by Kofi and another name, Mrs. Eshen, the operations manager. On the 6th day, Eshen called him to her office. She was elegant and controlled, the kind of person who never raised her voice because she didn't need to. "Mr. Armour," she said with a smooth smile, "you're observant. That's good, but sometimes it's better to observe and forget. Here." She pushed a white envelope across her glass table. "It's how industry works. Grease loud hinges. Everyone wins." River looked at the envelope but didn't touch it. "Everyone never includes the cleaners," he said quietly. Her smile faded. "You're temporary," she warned. "Don't grow teeth here." He stood and walked out without another word. That evening he handed his notes to Nee, Madame Adjoa's assistant. Inside were clear patterns, camera outages, missing goods, forged records, suspicious supplier names, and repeated accidental breakdowns that hid stolen stock. Nee read the report twice and whistled. "You sure you want this life?" he asked. "Truth makes enemies." "Lies make holes," River replied. "We're already falling in." That night Madame Adjoa read everything in silence. Her granddaughter slept peacefully beside her on the couch. Finally she looked up. "We'll act quietly," she said. "Rats run when they hear noise." The plan was simple. Stage a delivery on Thursday night, plant officers nearby and catch whoever was behind it. Thursday came with another round of rain. River wore a reflective vest and pretended to go about his duties. At exactly 1:42 a.m., the same camera blinked out. The same forklift broke down. A shadow opened the side door of a truck, and 2 stolen pallets began sliding away. River pressed the small button on his radio. "Now," he whispered. Lights flooded the yard. CID officers poured in like the rain itself. Men ran. One slipped and fell hard. From the mezzanine, Mrs. Eshen froze, then turned to run, only to find Nee already at her door. Don't, he said calmly. It looks worse when you do. Kofi tried to escape through the corner near Gate 3, but River blocked his path. The man swung at him in panic. River didn't fight back, he just caught the punch and held it until security arrived. When dawn broke, the thieves were in custody. The rain had stopped. The yard was quiet again, but this time it felt lighter, as if the ground itself had exhaled. By morning, word had spread. Workers gathered, whispering. Madame Adjoa stood before them and said, "From today, this yard will be clean. If you worked honestly, your pay goes up. If you were afraid to speak, your fear ends now. If you stole, your job ends now." The people nodded, some clapped softly. The air felt new. Later that day, in a small conference room, she turned to River. "We need a yard lead while we rebuild," she said. "Someone who knows the ground and the truth." River laughed quietly. "I've never had an office. I don't even own a tie." "Ties don't move trucks," she said. "You do." She handed him a contract, fair pay, 6-month review, a small company apartment if he wanted it. River read every word carefully before signing. "My mother used to say," he murmured, "find your way, even if it's through the market gutters." Madame Adjoa smiled. "Your way found you back." In the weeks that followed, things changed. Cameras were replaced, broken corners repaired, scanners fixed. Armour, the cleaner, was promoted to safety warden twice a week. People worked better. The warehouse stopped losing goods, and the air itself seemed clearer. River moved through the place with quiet authority, respected but never proud. He didn't bark orders, he simply showed up early, left late, and kept his promises. One night, sitting in his small apartment, he saw a framed photo on his table. The baby in the yellow cloth, now smiling with chubby cheeks. It had been a gift from Madame Adjoa. His phone rang. The number was unfamiliar. "Mr. Armour?" the voice said. "This is Boateng, from the hotel. I heard about your work with Mensima Foods. We'd like you to train our drivers on judgment calls and humanity." River smiled. "Send me the time. We'll talk." He hung up and leaned back, listening to the soft hum of his fan. For the first time in a long while, it didn't sound like a warning. It sounded like rhythm. Days later, he drove past the Ridge underpass. The floodwater was gone. Cars passed by without slowing, not knowing this was once a place of panic and prayer. River parked by the side, stepped out, and stood there quietly. He didn't need to say anything. The city breathed around him, alive and ordinary. That was enough. Then he heard small footsteps. He turned and saw the same little girl, now in a yellow dress, running toward him with laughter that rang like bells. Behind her was Madame Adjoa, smiling softly. "Uncle River?" The girl shouted. "Mommy says you're the brave water driver." River knelt and smiled. "I just pulled the rope," he said. "You did the sleeping." She giggled and ran ahead, chasing pigeons across the road. Madame Adjoa joined him. "We were at the clinic nearby," she said. "She insisted we pass by here. She calls it River's Bridge." They stood together, watching the sun sink low over the city. "I keep thinking about that night," she said quietly. "The choice you made." River nodded. "It didn't feel like a choice." "That's why it was," she replied. The little girl called for them to hurry, and Madame Adjoa laughed. "Come on, yard lead. We're late for Kelaweli." River laughed too. They walked toward the car as the evening light turned gold, glinting off the wet roads like threads of silver. That was the last night River ever doubted why he did what he did. At the Mensima Foods gate, Armour later hung a small handmade sign that read, "Integrity is our quickest route." And from that day on, whenever rain began to fall, people in the city looked toward the Ridge underpass, not to avoid it, but to remember, because of one man who chose to stop. Because kindness, no matter how small, always finds its way home.